So the Harris campaign wanted him to come to DC away from his studio in Austin so he could sit with her for 1 hour. Gee, I wonder why they wanted to do that as opposed to having Kamala come sit with Joe Rogan in Austin. Geez, what do you think? We have some shocking news from this morning that we're going to go over right here related to Joe Rogan, how did Joe Rogan get it right in the dead center of this election? I mean, it's obvious. You know, he's got the biggest show in the world. But in my opinion, Rogan has done everything to stay apolitical throughout, this new phase of his life where he literally has the biggest platform in the world. And we're going to talk about this because Kamala Harris apparently agreed to do the show. And Rogan was like, no, we're not going to do your show after all, Kamala Harris. And the reason for that is very telling because it is a perfect example of why his show is so good and why these cardboard cutouts do not understand why they are losing control of everything. It's unbelievable that they are still trying to stick a circle through a square, right? Or a square through a circle. It's like, dude, your way of doing things is over. And they still don't understand. They don't know how to do it the other way. Okay? Like Trump is the first person who has figured this out. And if you want to be honest, dude, in the 2016 election, he was the first person, or his campaign was the first person to successfully use social media in a really effective manner in a campaign. And now in 2024, 8 years later, this new media thing has developed to such a tremendous, level compared to where it was prior to that, that you are going to win or lose elections based on your ability to navigate the environment that I operate in, that Rogan, obviously not in the same, reach that Rogan does, but this is the same thing. If we're unclear on this, what Rogan does and what I do and what Tim Pool does and what any of you guys who post on YouTube or do Spotify or whatever, this is all the same thing. It is independent media. That is what these platforms have provided. It's changed the world completely. And we're going to talk about that a lot in this video, but the circumstances for why Kamala Harris is not doing Joe Rogan is absolutely amazing to look at. Okay. Now, we're going to start there. Then I'm going to show you guys some, God, I almost want to start there. We'll look at it afterwards, but I want to show you guys what the mainstream media is saying about the Tony Hinchcliffe thing and Joe Rogan. Because of course, they're like, wait a minute, Tony Hinchcliffe made some off-color jokes about different races in an attempt to, normalize comedians being able to make jokes. They're like, well, this must mean Nazism, or Joe Rogan is actually on the Trump side. He wants it. It's just all so ridiculous, dude. We're going to look at that. But go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. I appreciate you guys doing that. Apparently, my videos, sometimes I don't understand how this works, where I'm like, so like my Kamala Harris video from last night has, 65, 70,000 views from yesterday. And I've lost 10 subscribers from that video. I'm like, who would have seen that and unsubscribed? And I'm looking at the comments and it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. This is a bizarre world that I operate in is all I'm going to say. Like the message that people will take from things that I say sometimes is so weird. Okay. I will give you an example because it's directly related to this. All right. So what I said in my video was that Kamala Harris cannot go on podcasts and be normal. All right. Like that was what I said, because that's where we're going to get to in this whole thing, was that what Kamala Harris wanted to do is she wanted Rogan to come to her, right, in DC, and then Rogan was going to get 1 hour with her. You know what? I'm stepping on this. Let's actually just read this. Okay, so in order, right? So I found this on this for some reason they were showing me this guy's comment. It's like, with a straight face, a podcast host says he is unwilling to travel to an interview with the Vice President of the United States of America and Democratic nominee for president. Oh my God. And that was in response to this, where Rogan said, also, he said also. Well, let's see what else he said, because I want to, what else did he say? Okay, so I guess forget it. So there's nothing else. Okay, so also, for the record, the Harris campaign has not passed on doing the podcast. They offered a date for Tuesday, but I would have had to travel to her, and they only wanted to do an hour. I strongly feel the best way to do it is in the Austin studio. My sincere wish is to just have a nice conversation and get to know her as a human being. I really hope we can make it happen. Now, he is absolutely trying to sell this. He wants her to come. What he's not going to do, actually, let me rewind. Sorry, I just want to make sure that I get this out. So then that's when this guy said this. And so I responded with this. And by the way, if you don't follow me on, X, you should definitely go do that. I said, the podcast host with the biggest show in history is not willing to leave the environment he controls to go into a scripted, nonsensical nightmare his show exists to avoid. Great take, though, dummy. So, yeah, that's my take on that. You know what I mean? Because bottom line, this is not rocket science at all, okay? The reason they want to do that is because they know that they can go, and if they bring him to them, they're in control, okay? They are in control. And in case people think that, what's the right way to put this, okay? Anybody who's been in show business at all, if you've ever done a reality show, I've done 2 that were on national television. I've done, if you've ever done these things, right? The thing you have to understand is the minute, the millisecond that something is filmed with you mic'd up, that is on wax permanently, okay? Once it's filmed, there's no going back, okay? Once it's filmed, once it's captured, that is the record of what happened. So if you try to come out afterwards and you're like, look, man, this interview went the way that it did because they were standing around and whatever, you try to explain it, no one's going to hear it, dude. No one is going to listen to you. No one is going to hear that. It's not going to happen. And Rogan knows the second that he leaves, he controls a podcast and Austin. She comes to them. He's like, all your handlers, no, they're not coming in. We are going to sit here. We're going to have a conversation. They can go watch every single episode that he's ever done. And they will obviously see that he is an incredibly respectful person. He's not going to be there to challenge them. Even in episodes where he intentionally was there to stick a finger in somebody's chest, like Dr. Oh my God, I can't remember his name, but the dude from CNN, the doctor from CNN about when they were going through the studies and stuff. Okay. Or even, dude, he was even nice to that little Hobbit guy who was the really heavy guy into the jab, right? Whose name is escaping me. Also, I've intentionally blocked him out of my mind. But nonetheless, right? Rogan is respectful to everyone. He just wants to talk to her and see who she is. And this is what these cardboard people don't understand, okay? They want to control it because they want to make sure that nothing gets said that can be taken out of context and they can't whatever, because that is all they do, okay? That's the key to understand. All they do is listen for things that can be taken out of context that they can misuse, rearrange and then put out into the mainstream media and try to represent something that was said that was not meant to be said that way. So their response to that, instead of, okay, let's just start being honest because people are on to that trick and let's just go and, she's a normal person, right? I'm telling you, 99% of people, even politicians, if you get them in a room by themselves and you just talk to them, you're like, oh, all right, it's a good dude, man. Or that's a good girl. I like her or I like him. I have learned that about myself. All right. Even there are lots of people who I would think that I wouldn't like. And then I sit in a room with them. I talk to them a little bit. I'm like, all right, they're all right, dude. They're all right. Don't get me wrong. There are some people I really don't like, but it's rare. You know what I mean? Kamala is not, I guarantee you, Kamala is not going to be one of those people. If I'm in the room with her and I'm just rapping out with her and there's no rules, the gloves are off. She doesn't have to worry about what she's saying. It's just hey, let's just have a conversation. Like two people, just pretend that you're not running for vice president or running for president. Pretend that I'm not interviewing. Let's just talk. Okay, that is what people want. That's why people love Trump, man. It's because he just says what he thinks. It's not this manufactured nonsense. And they don't understand that. They really don't understand that. They don't understand people because the people who are running these campaigns are all the same people who've been running these campaigns forever. And there's only one way that they know how to do it. And authenticity is not part of the equation. It's just not. They want total control, scripted everything, teleprompters. If they're going to do a debate. Now, by the way, I've been meaning to say this in my videos, okay? Is there any question in any of your minds as to whether or not Kamala had an earpiece in her ear during the debate at this point? I'm totally serious. Now that we've really seen what it looks like when she doesn't have anybody helping her out and there's no is there any I think that there is, I would bet anything that she had an earpiece. Anything. I think that debate on ABC or whatever that was completely rigged top to bottom. Now we know it was rigged, but I mean completely rigged. Every single way that they could rig it against the big guy, was that, including the earrings that have the microphone in them, I would bet a lot of money that that's the case, because that's what they do. That's all these people know how to do, right? And so for Rogan, right, like if going back to the original point I was making, if he goes and does the thing that they're asking, he's going to get there. They're going to hand him a list of rules. The second that he asks a question or says anything that's outside of what they've scripted, they're going to go, stop the camera. Stop the camera. For sure. That is what will happen. And then Joe's going to be like, look, this is not how I do things. And guess what? There's nothing you can do at that point. Okay? There's nothing you can do. You are on her turf. They're in control, not you. And 1 hour, they did a response to Trump going on, and they did this thing with Mark Cuban, and the best they could come up with was 6 minutes of them pretending like they care about small business owners, which was the most disingenuous, nonsensical thing I've ever seen. You know what I mean? Let me look at the what do you call it? The analytics on that real quick, because I am surprised that had not done more. Well, it's done pretty good, dude. It's got almost 70,000 views. But it's not being shown to anyone new. Like, it's insane, dude. It's just getting shown to 93% to my subscribers. That's why you need to subscribe to my channel. If you're not subscribed, you are not going to see it. Like, look at this. Okay? That's not because only subscribers are clicking on it. It's because it's only being shown to my subscribers, okay? So you got to subscribe. I'm telling you guys that. And with that, I'm going to leave you guys. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Lots more coming today. I love you guys.